HIMAP's advice to the youth is don't be a slave to the opinions of other people. Ask yourself, what do you really want to do? And don't think twice, just start doing it. So Jeff, welcome to the show called Self-Made. We want to know your secret. Can you share with us your childhood story?
Oh, what a childhood story. I come from a long line of painters, house painters. My great-grandfather, grandfather, father, all house painters. Grew up in Toledo, Ohio, in the U.S. Through that process, I got lucky enough to get introduced into the computer world. And I started learning computers, and you know, painting is nice, but it's hard work, it's a lot of labor. And computers were an exciting, interesting area at the time. So I focused my efforts on IT. So I was myself a call center agent way back in the day, back when the computer industry was brand new. Lucky for me, the company I worked with started to grow, and they started putting locations around the world. So I went from our base in California. Our first site was in Puerto Rico. They sent me there to help set up the site and link it back to California. From there I went to Scotland, to Malaysia, I was in China, I was in India. So they sent me all around the world. Then because of that, and my experience from kind of going around and around, a previous business partner of mine had an opportunity to come to the Philippines and says, hey, Jeff, you've been all around the world, would you like to go to the Philippines? I said, I've never been, why not? That was 2003, we came here and we set up a small BPO firm. We hired 3 nurses, we called our company Medicall. And the BPO industry was growing and the computer networks and everything going with it. We said, you know, well, there's a lot of nurses in the Philippines and these BPOs and call centers are starting in the Philippines. What if we put nurses in a call center? And hence Medicall was one.
So how you develop the skills of the Filipino nurses?
We grew, you know, organically as we started with one job and then we learned, well, what's the next harder job? Just like anything you do, you tend to get bored with it and you want to find a challenge in it. So we kind of reach out and look at the work and say, well, I'm doing this good, and I can also do that. You know, and always stretch yourself, I think, is the main thing to say that you do.
Is being hospitable one of the best traits of Filipinos?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, especially if you look at our industry is service-oriented. I mean, it all comes down to the core of it, service-oriented. Even if it's just back office work where you're not interacting with a person, there's still the caring to make sure the work that you're doing is serving a need.
Are you a strict boss?
Yes.
Why?
Me personally, I charge money for a service I do. I sleep well at night. I didn't take money off some guy and pull a fast one on some guy and made a quick buck off it. I'm not comfortable with that. I'm comfortable that I did a solid service for you, you were happy with it, and I was paid appropriately for it. So it's very, very important to me that when anyone who works with me, that if we have a job, we don't cut corners. And if I see you cutting corners, I'm going to call you out on it. And if when I come to you, and as a boss, I am a bit overbearing, but at the same point in time, I tell you I need your feedback. I don't know everything. And I've never been one to confess that or admit that. But what I do say is, you know, we as a team, you're the ones working it. You've got to speak up. If you see a problem and don't say anything, it's just as bad as doing something wrong.
So what's your best advice to the millennials right now? To really finding out what's the right path and how to find that passion within them.
First off, it's unfair to ask a kid in high school what they want to do. Did you know what you wanted to do when you were in high school? Did you know what you wanted to be when you were only 20-some years old? I mean, how are we equipped to make a decision on what I'm going to be in my 50s when I'm only in my 20s and I'm just now discovering the world? So I think that's a little unfair. I think the main thing you need to look at doing is what do I like to do? What do I find engaging? And what are my drivers? Do I want to save the world? Do I want to be eco-friendly? Do I want to, what are the things that excite you? And then what type of jobs offer those kind of opportunities? And that's where you just kind of go down paths and don't be afraid to take a hard left or a hard right when you're moving along, because just because you started away and if you're finding you're not happy with that, it's okay to change course.
What's the key message that Filipinos should really improve to really hit what you expect?
Don't settle, right? I mean, to me, the key thing is everything you're doing, you can do better. Everything, and it doesn't matter how good you are at what you do. The person who can do no better doesn't exist. We can always do anything we do better, and it's every one of us included. And I think we always take a look at what you do and say, how can I do it better? How can I do it cleaner? And those are the things we're focused.
So what excites the investors to invest in the Philippines, the key positive things of Filipinos?
Just an unbelievable work ethic, and you know, there's still an overall modicum of respect in this country, more so than we see in a lot of different places. It's interesting, on the U.S. angles, you hear complaints about millennials, they're lazy, they don't want to work. In the Philippines, it's different. The millennials are more of, they want more challenging work, right? It's a different mindset. So to me, capitalize on that. One of the other biggest advantages you've got is we're an aging population around the entire world. You've only got a few countries in the world, and the Philippines is one, that is still a very young workforce. Who is going to be doing the work for us as we continue to age? Where does that workforce come from? And it comes from here. And there's so many people that have dedicated the amount of college-educated people here, and that dedication to better themselves is there, and they want to work with you together. They thrive on the ability to learn more. So I think the onus comes on us to take them in, help hone those skills, and use them to our advantage.
So of course, it's our passion to really make Philippines first world, and our target is 2030. What we should do to create that and to hit that?
First off, the first world connotations, I've never been a big fan of that word. I think it's the world that you're happy in, right? And the Philippines have so many happy people. I mean, you've got such a resiliency here. Years ago, we did a mission in Medicol where after Undoy. And one of the things that always sticks out of my mind from a resiliency aspect is we're going down these trucks, and these big, high, military trucks have some way to get through this deep water. And here's a guy walking through the water, and he's literally got his belongings on his back, right? I mean, the water's up to here on him. He's kind of trudging along. And as we drive by, someone pulls out a camera, and he looks, he sees the camera, and he stops, and he smiles. I mean, to me, that is just embodies the spirit right then and there, right? Hey, it's just another day. This too will pass. And then to see a smile out of something like that, to me, was very, very encouraging. Let's not lose that. Let's continue that.
So where do you see Philippines the next 5 years then?
I see the Philippines to continue to grow. The challenges that we have coming in the industry for us, it's fully within our control. Do we take a leadership role and try to help continue growing with this? Or do we just keep doing what we're doing and watch it slowly dwindle down? This is within our control as an industry, and that's why you heard me speak earlier today. I think we have to address it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Every success has its struggles. Every dream has its trials and tests. Listen to their stories, because if they did it, you can also be called self-made.